Hello and welcome to the Summer Umbrella Drawing Program inspired by the artist David Hockney. My name is Doris Benter from Library Arts, and I'm really happy that I'll be able to walk you through this really fun summer-themed drawing inspired by a well-known British artist. So let's take a look at our inspiration. Our inspiration today is this beautiful painting of an isolated sun umbrella on the beach with these beautiful curves of waving sand and this gorgeous dark shadow cast by the umbrella onto the sand. I'm going to walk you through a drawing where you're going to create something very similar. You're going to have your umbrella, you're going to have that gorgeous shadow on the sand, and use oil pastels to color in the background. So for today, what you're going to need is a sheet of copy paper. You're going to need a pencil. You're going to need some permanent markers, blacks, colors that you see on the umbrella, and it would be really wonderful if you had oil pastels. Oil pastels, crayons could be used, oil pastels are better, but we're going to use those to blend the colors of the sand. So get your materials together, let's get started, and I can't wait to walk you through creating a David Hockney inspired summer beach umbrella. See you in a minute. Well, today we're going to do a drawing of our own umbrella with that shadow line as David Hockney created on the beach with the water in the distance. So I want to make sure your paper is just a regular sheet of copy paper, and that is vertical, going straight up and down. This is also called the portrait way of looking at a picture. So let's do it in portrait style. So we're going to put our paper here. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser just in case, and let's get started on our drawing. Okay, we're going to start our drawing up here at the top by making the top of our umbrella. Now the umbrella in David Hockney's work is near the top of the paper, so I'm going to think about, maybe an inch down. You want to start that umbrella. It's not perfectly in the center, it's actually off to the side. So we're just going to make a little curve to be the top of that umbrella. Then we're going to take a diagonal line down for one side of the umbrella. We're going to come out at a diagonal, and then we're going to come down at a slightly different angle, not quite as far as the other one. In fact, I'll make this one just a little bit longer. So we have two diagonals with the top of the umbrella here. Now we're going to make that umbrella come in a little bit because the fabric is sort of folded. So we're going to create that fold by bringing a line with a little bit of a curve, go a little in further, and stop. Almost looks like a skinny horse head right now, right? Now we're going to go back to the top here, and we're going to bring sort of a slightly wavy diagonal down. It's going to touch that line that we just stopped at. It's going to then take a diagonal dive downwards, and then it's going to angle up at a lot of diagonals in this picture, right back up to this line right here. That is the basic shape of your umbrella right now. We're going to add a few stripes in here. So again, I'm just going to fix the top of that. I'm going to add a little stripe coming out over here. This is one part of the umbrella where that fold is hiding. I'm going to add another stripe coming down here, sort of like with that wave again. And then I'm going to add another line echoing the first one to make a stripe. Then I'm going to make another line. This is going to be a little bit straighter. That's going to be a stripe. A little skinny line. We're going to echo that line right there. So you see how we're creating these stripes in our umbrella. And finally, we're going to have one more skinny line that makes the last stripe right there. That is our umbrella. Now we're going to come down with a straight line to make the umbrella pole. And we're going to copy that line, echoing it, going down, 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 little further down, I think, than I had. Right there. Now you know how it is. Usually the umbrella is stuck in the sand, so I'm just going to put a line right there. Now we're going to use yet another diagonal to show where that water line is coming behind the umbrella. So we're going to start up here. We're going to angle that line downwards, stop at the umbrella because the water is being covered up visually by the umbrella, and then we're going to start coming down here. So again, we have this nice diagonal showing our water and our sand, and there's a little bit of a ridge here, a little edge of darker sand. So we're going to make a bumpy line right there, and we're going to take it all the way over here to the edge, and we're going to stop right there. That's all we're going to do for this part of the umbrella. Now we're going to move on to actually drawing the shadow. And if you remember, the shadow, once again with a diagonal, is going off because the sunlight is coming in from the side here, hitting the umbrella and casting a shadow over here on the sand. So we're going to start our shadow. It's going to come at the very bottom of the pole. It's going to be a bumpy kind of a shadow, straight, another bump. Do you know why there are bumps? Because the shadow is going over the sand. So there is one part of the shadow. Now we're just going to echo that shape. Up, down, and up and down, and there. Okay, now we're going to start at the top of the umbrella again. It's going to be a shorter umbrella. It's not going to be as tall as this. And I wonder if you remember what they said about different times of day, the shadows will change in size, shape. And so this time of day, the shadow is much smaller and shorter than it would be a different time of day. So that's just, again, where the sun is in the sky and how it is hitting the umbrella is affecting how we see it. We're going to come up here and to a point, and there is our shadow. So you have your water, your umbrella, the top of your sand line right here, your shadow, and the sand. Now, next time we're going to add color.
So this is the original painting, and we're going to try to use similar colors to the ones David Hockney used. We're going to first do our umbrella using marker and our umbrella stand and shadow. Then we'll switch to crayon and or oil pastels for the background. Okay, so let's start with the umbrella. So as I said, you're going to need markers. If you have markers at home, they don't have to be Sharpies, that will be fine. And then if you have either oil pastels or crayons, those would be great for doing the background. So let's get started. So some of the colors I see in David Hockney's umbrella, he definitely has green. So this is sort of a light green. I'm going to need a darker green. So I'm going to look through my markers to see if I can find a darker green. Oh, here's one. Okay, a darker green. And we can compare greens to see which one makes the most sense. And I think the one in the middle looks the best. We're going to need a black. It looks like we're going to need a red or a reddish orange color. So I have a couple oranges here and I have a red. What do you think? We might even be able to overlap them to get that red-orange look. And we're definitely going to need maybe a tan color. And I'm looking through all of my markers. I'll find the tan color in a little bit, I'm sure. Here it is. And those are pretty much the colors. You notice we have three that are warm, one that is cool, and black, which can be kind of a neutral. And then, of course, there's white at the top. So let's start. I'm going to put my picture aside, and if you have these colors, green, orange, tan, red, black, you'll be set to go. Now you're free to also change it up if you'd rather. That's okay with me. So I'm going to put some orange onto my paper here first, and I'm going to, this one has a better tip on it. start at this side of the umbrella, and I'm going to color in the stripe. And notice that my marks are going up and down in a vertical pattern, just like the fabric. And the pattern is up and down. It's not side to side, so why would I go this way, right? So I'm going to follow the pattern with the way I put my marks into the stripes, and I'm just trying to stay within the shapes that I see. Now, as I said, the color is kind of a red-orange, so I might put some red on top of the orange to make it more of a red-orange. It's okay to overlap colors, just like you do with the oil pastels sometimes. You can do that with markers. So I'm putting red on top of my orange to get more of that red-orange color that he had created with his paint. Next comes a yellow. I forgot to mention yellow before, but you're going to need a yellow. And it's almost like, in some areas, a little bit of a yellow-orange. So I may actually put a little orange, like I did the red on top of my orange. I may put a little orange on top of my yellow to create that shadowy yellow within the bright yellow. And there's some yellow over here, also in this shape. So I'm putting some yellow in there. Now I actually see, and I'm going to show you, in Hockney's work right here, you're going to notice the shadow right here within, and that's done with paint. But I'm going to notice my yellow is different. I'm going to add some orange on top of that to get that shadowy look. So I'm going to take my orange marker, and this is going to just come in on top of the yellow all the way up to that corner, and then come down all the way over here, and not quite all the way. And there's a little bit over here too. So I'm just putting that yellow and that orange in there. And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over it with yellow again, so I can kind of blend it even a bit more. There. That kind of does a good job, I think, of capturing the shadowy look that he created using the paint here. Now next, you see we're going to have it could be a dark navy blue stripe, but I think it's a black. So I'm going to use a black marker for my next stripe here, starting skinny. This black is not working that great for me, so I'm going to look for another one. Always good to have a couple more markers in the color that you need, just in case one is drying out. You know how that is in the art room. You're using one color and it kind of starts drying up. Just choose another marker just like it in the same color, and you can keep going. So I'm going to do that little stripe there. It actually creates a nice contrast against that yellow. Next comes that really beautiful, vibrant green. So we're going to use the green next. And you'll notice at the, this is not a green. That's a green with a, that's a yellow with a green cap. Does that ever happen to you? Okay, here's some green for the next stripe. And you're going to notice I was just looking the way we added that orange over the yellow. The green is a little bit like that too, and there's a little bit of a shadowiness on top of the green. So I'm going to take either a blue or another dark color to add that little shadowy finish on top of the green in a minute. I'll go here, fill that shape in, like that. So let's take a look. Right here, it's almost like a little hem right at the bottom. I think I'm going to grab, I have a gray that I think could create that little shadowy look. So I'm taking my gray marker and I'm just going to, oh, perfect. Look at that. Just adds a little darkness at the bottom here without changing the color too much. And it actually comes up and makes a little bit of a shadow here. Okay, next we're going to go back to the black. for that next really skinny stripe next to the green here. Very nice. Again, creating a little pop of contrast. And then we're going to bring in that really nice tawny tan. And once again, at the bottom of the tan, you're going to notice there is a little shadow at the bottom, which I will show you in just a minute of, do you see that? Right there? So here's the tan. And there's a little bit of shadow. I think I'm going to try the gray on that again to create that shadowy hem. Yep, perfect. Just the right color to create that shadow on the bottom. And now we go back to black for the last stripe. Like this. Whoops, come down here, just widen that a little bit. Okay, and there you have your umbrella. I'm just going to outline this for the top, okay? And the color of the stick here is going to be that tawny pale brown, but I wanted to show you quickly. I'm actually going to look for a nice dark blue. Blue is a color that artists often use to show shadows. So I'm going to outline my wiggly umbrella shape here. Like this. And then I'm going to fill it in nice and dark. The way this is very dark, I'm going to fill it in with a nice dark blue. I'm not going to use black. I may use some gray on top, but I'm going to fill it in with a nice dark blue because I think that is more appropriate, more interesting for a shadow color. That one's drying out a little bit. Let me try this one. Oh, much better. Much better marker. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the shadow like this. All right, come down here. Sometimes it helps if you outline a shape before you color it in because it gives you the boundaries for where the color needs to go. And that way you're maybe less likely to go out of the boundaries if you have some little guiding outlines for yourself. So here is my shadow for my umbrella. And if you want to add a little more darkness, again, that gray would be great to just sort of layer on. I noticed that part of it is a little darker here and there, so I'm just using that gray to give a little more detail and a little more depth. Not quite a black, but a nice darkness. So you see how markers can blend almost like you would do with oil pastels. So that's why I'm doing that. And I'm going to come down here a little bit more. There. Last thing I'm going to do is just quickly color in the umbrella stand. Again, there is a little shadow even on the umbrella stand. And once again, I think that gray would be perfect for showing a little bit of shadow. If you don't have gray, that's all right. It's not to worry at all. Now, I'm going to stop here and make a separate video for how to do the sand and the sky. Remember to stop the video if you need to anytime. The color to our umbrella, inspired by David Hockney. So we're going to be working on the sand and the water. Really could be the sky, but I believe that's the water and the sand. We have our umbrella and our shadow put in. So now we're going to work on this part. For this step, I would encourage you to have either crayons. You could use brown and yellow. If you have a white, that would be great for the sand. If you have some blues, dark blue, if you have a lighter blue, that would be great, or mix it with white if you're using crayons. I personally really like the look of oil pastel, so I'm going to be using oil pastels for mine. And I'm going to demonstrate how to work on this, but then I'm not going to spend the entire time coloring it because that would be a very long video. But we're going to start down here. If you notice in David Hockney's work, there are several colors. You're going to see this kind of golden yellow. You're going to see a little bit of brown. You're definitely going to see some white, some beige. And the reason why, and you actually, funny enough, you will see a little bit of blue in there too. You see in the shadow like we had over here in this shadow, in the shadow of the sand dunes. The sand, you know how the sand gets bumpy and lumpy when you walk on it? So you're going to see. So those are the colors I'm going to keep nearby. Maybe even this red-brown too, because I see a little bit of that red-brown. So I have a lot of colors, and you can layer with crayons too. So I'm going to put this aside again, and I'm going to start by putting a light layer of this beautiful golden yellow, which I think really represents the sand color. And notice how lightly I'm doing that. The reason why I'm doing it lightly is because the nice thing about oil pastels, and by the way, if you had color pencils instead, you can really do a nice job blending with color pencils, so that will be okay too. But I'm going to work on this side of the sand, and I'm just going to block in with that golden rod. What is this color called? Yellow ochre. And that is what a yellow ochre looks like. It's sort of a yellowish, tannish color, almost like not as bright as mustard, but it is one of my favorite paint colors, is yellow ochre. So I have blocked in the sand color that you see over here. Now I'm going to start blending in some of these other colors, these lines that go sort of in a diagonal. And I'm going to blend my sand with a little bit of this peachy color first. So this is where I start building an overlapping color, which is done so much in art. Artists rarely just take the paint out of the tube and put it down. They really love to build up color. So I'm just going to put a layer of beige on top of my sand. Just like that. So now my sand is already getting a little richer in the color. If you have a crayon like mine where the color runs down, you can always take the paper off. I often do that with oil pastels because, and they break. That's okay. I'm gonna blend in that beige, and I can use the side of the oil pastel too to kind of blend it in quickly, but you may just have to hold your paper in place while you do that. Okay, so we have that beautiful beige. Now we're gonna just start to introduce some of those soft lines that are going throughout the sand. They're kind of varied. Some are longer, some are bumpier, and some are darker and lighter. So I'm going to maybe put a little bit of the red-brown in there, maybe blend it a little bit with my finger so it's a little softer, because what I feel like is the colors will blend nicely if you layer them. They're not going to blend that great if you just put it down straight. They'll blend a little bit. But if you layer them, you can really get a nice look. So I'm going to do a little more blending. I think I might bring in a little bit of that really pretty blue in here, and again, blending it in. So it adds that little bit of shadow in there. Don't be afraid to go off the page, because artists often do that. It's really not always fun to stay on the page. So go ahead and take those lines right off the page. And then up here, right along this line, I'm going to put a little bit of this really rich brown. It's like a burnt sienna. But knowing also that that too is lighter, I'm going to put that yellow ochre on top. Again, more layering and blending, layering and blending. And then, just to show you what I will end up doing up here in the sky, that is a really intense blue, isn't it? It's sort of like this blue, maybe even with a little bit of light blue, dark blue. I mean, I might just blend 3 blues together, so I'm going to have those nearby. And I'm just going to, again, block some of that color in, really. Or I might just use this one blue. We're going to see how I do. Going carefully around my umbrella. Really beautiful blue here. I think I'm just going to put a little bit of the darker blue in, not too much. And I'm going to continue this picture off camera. But you see what I'm doing? I'm really pressing firmly on the crayon, building up. And again, if you use your finger to blend layered colors, not just putting one color down, but really layering it, you can get that beautiful effect that Hockney gets with his painting. Okay, so I'm going to let you continue to work on yours. I'll come back and show you my finished work afterwards, and then you can continue on yours. Have fun, enjoy using the crayons, oil pastels, oint. Last time I left you, you were finishing the side of your picture with the oil pastels. This is the original David Hockney, the yellows, the golden colors. Come over to the side. Let's take a look. So in the umbrella shadow, we have the little bit of oil pastel with a little marker I kind of scraped over the top. The same kind of tan colors we use for the sand over here with the blurring of the layered dark shadows were added on top, and of course a deep dark bright blue for the ocean in the distance. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial for making a David Hockney inspired beach umbrella, and it was a pleasure working with you. My name is Doris Benter of Library Arts, and I hope you keep creating. Take care. Bye-bye.